you've worked hard, built your wealth, and reached a point where money feels secure, the question that usually comes next is, how can I help my children benefit from the wealth I've built? You want to see them benefit now while you're still around, but you're also worried about doing the wrong thing, triggering tax problems, or putting your own retirement at risk. It's amazing to gift with a warm hand and not a cold one. In this video, we're going to walk through how gifting money to children actually works in retirement, what to think about before you do it, and the common mistakes that catch people out and cause them issues. So point number one, start with the purpose, not the tax. Before you think about allowances, rules, or structures, you need to answer one simple question. Why are you giving them the money? The purpose matters because it determines how the gift should be structured, how often it should happen, and how much flexibility you might need. Is it to help with day-to-day pressure? Is it to support a bigger one-off house purchase? Or is it to fund a business opportunity? Or maybe even simply because you want to see them enjoy it while you're still around. I often speak to parents who say, I just want to help. But when we slow the conversation down, we realise they're trying to solve very different problems. Helping a child who's struggling month to month is very different to helping a child buy a home or grow a business. When the purpose is unclear, the structure usually ends up wrong, and that's where the problems can start to exist. So the first step is not asking how much can I give, it's about asking what am I actually trying to achieve with this gift. That leads us to the most important rule of all. Point two, your retirement comes first. Gifting money feels generous, but once the money is gone, it's gone. You cannot ungift it, or you cannot gift it with conditions, and you cannot assume that your children will take the money and save it. Once you gift it to them, it's highly likely that it's going to be spent, which I assume was the purpose of you doing it anyway. Once you have gifted it, you cannot undo it if your circumstances change, as it's probably not going to be there for you to take back. That is why gifting should only happen once your own retirement plan is solid and stress tested. Helping your children should never come at the cost of your own security. I've had conversations where on paper gifting looks affordable and great, but when we modelled future care costs, potential market downturns, or even you living longer than you expected, the gift suddenly put a nice retirement with a reasonable income at risk. The intention was to reduce pressure on the children. The risk was becoming dependent on them later, which is what we don't want. That is not helping. This is just moving the stress down the line or kicking the can down the road. Gifting works best when it comes from surplus and not having to sacrifice. Once that foundation is secure, the next question is how the support should actually be given. If you're enjoying this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I love producing this content and it only drives me to do more and build it bigger for you. Point number three, gift, loan, or something in between. How money is given matters more than you realise. It can change the outcome just as much as how much is given. I often see people focus on the generosity of the gesture and overlook the actual mechanics behind doing it. They assume that because the intention is good, the outcome will be simple. But in reality, the same amount of money can have very different implications depending on how it is given, where it comes from, and what it's used for. A straight cash gift is treated very differently to money used for a specific purpose, or money loan with structure, or money transferred into a business or asset. In many places, there are allowances for gifting up to certain limits, but once those limits are exceeded, reporting requirements or future tax implications can apply. Equally, giving money that has come from different sources can trigger different outcomes. Cash held in a bank is treated differently to money taken from investments, pensions, or business assets. And in some cases, giving assets rather than cash can create consequences later that are not obvious at the point of gifting. This is why the structure matters. It's not to avoid tax at all costs, but to avoid unintended consequences and making sure who you want to receive it actually does at the level you intend. Gifting is not just about giving money, but also choosing the right method for the right situation. And that brings us to one of the biggest areas where people accidentally create risk. Point number 4 is think about fairness, not just helpfulness. Helping one child more than another is sometimes necessary, we get that, but it should never be accidental. I've seen families fall apart because no one explained the reasoning behind earlier decisions. The parents believed they were being practical and helpful. The children believed something else entirely. Perceived unfairness can cause resentment years later, often at the point where estates are settled and emotions are already really high. That does not mean everything must be equal, but your intentions should be clear and thought through and documented. Money conversations left unspoken rarely disappear. They usually just resurface later and louder. Now, let's talk about the risk of not getting the right information. Point number 5, rules differ, principles don't. The biggest mistakes usually come from assumptions. Someone heard what worked for a friend or read something online and applied it without checking how it worked where they live. Every country has different rules around gifting, tax and inheritance. Allowances exist in some places but not in others. Reporting requirements vary and those rules change over time. This is why copying advice online without context is very, very, very dangerous. The principles stay the same. The details must always be checked locally into your personal circumstances. So before gifting large amounts of money, I would always encourage you to consult a professional who can help you understand this and work with you to map out everything. A great financial planner can help, as they will also likely be working with a tax advisor too. This is when well-intended generosity turns into a very expensive listen. Gifting money to your children can be one of the most rewarding parts of retirement, but it works best when it's intentional, structured, and built on proper advice. Get the purpose right, protect your own future, and treat generosity as a part of a wider plan, not a one-off decision. It's amazing, like we said, to gift with a warm hand and not a cold one. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching.